Going to start. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever everyone is located. I am Denise Armenio. I am a certified emotion code, body code, genius biofeedback practitioner. And I am here today with Claire McIntyre. And we are here to demonstrate the Genius Insight app on how it works and also to do a training. So feel very fortunate to be able to be here every Thursday with everyone. And today we are going to do take a volunteer. And I see one or two new names here, hopefully your faces too. So if Elfie or Ruth would like to volunteer, we can begin. Otherwise, we can do a group demo. And let me just turn on my chat. I don't have my chat on. So Elfie or Ruth, would either one of you like to volunteer for today? You can just let me know in the chat or unmic or unmute yourself rather. Yes? No? Takers? Anyone? Anyone else? Or should we do a group?
I think Ruth has put yes there.
Oh, I just saw it. Oh, okay. Oh, I saw. Okay,
Oh,
great.
sorry. Oh, sorry.
No problem. Yeah, if you just want to turn your video on, that would be awesome. And I'm going to start sharing my screen. And hold on, I just have to get info on the side here. Okay, so for anyone that's new to the Genius or watching this on replay, when you have a new client or someone new that you're going to begin working on for the first time, you add their name. Whoops, to the list here. And Ruth, is that the correct spelling of your last name as it appears in the Zoom?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah,
And
right.
birth date?
10/16/67.
We are very close in age.
Oh,
27th.
When are you?
October 27th.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
So, okay, so here we go. And I have all your information there. I also put the gender. That does not affect the scan whatsoever. It really just determines what the graphics are that you're seeing when we do the scan. So I'm just going to hit on the bottom right, continue with new analysis. And then, so Ruth, are there any issues or anything that you would like to work on? Do you have any physical pain anywhere?
Yeah, I'm very achy. Like when I get up, I get I'm achy for like the first 3-4 minutes. It works itself out, but when I get up, I I go from being 55 to 90, and then for a few minutes.
And is it joints? Is it muscles? Like
It's, I think, like if I do body code or whatever, it's like comes up fascia.
okay, fascia. Okay.
Just like everything kind of stiff.
Okay, and so you don't have it right now, but this morning, if you could remember back.
Oh no, I still feel it.
You still feel it? Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being severe, how would you rate it? The pain.
Like a 4 or 5.
Okay.
When I move. Yeah.
And is there anything else pain-wise?
Yeah, I have vision problems. That I had a concussion 4 years ago, and it's weird. It's the only thing that has really affected me, and I didn't even hit my head, but I had perfect vision, and ever since then I have a lot of blurry vision and yeah, sensitivity, like in my eyes.
Light.
Yeah, light sensitivity. Before I couldn't get enough light. Nothing was too light. Now, especially fluorescent light.
Okay, so
Or-
like even now, I'm just gauging like if we run things on your vision, like the light right now in the room, will you notice if that changes or the blurriness, if that
Yeah,
obviously.
the blurriness, yeah, right. Yeah,
So how would
exactly.
you rate that on a scale of 0 to 10?
Like a 5 of the blurriness. In this room, because it's a natural light, the light doesn't bother me as much, but still,
If
that's
you were
about.
to turn on the lights, you would notice. Okay, perfect. Anything else?
Those are the two main things.
Okay, and what about anything like emotional or um that you want to work with?
Not so much. Gallbladder comes up all the time when I
Okay.
run the.
We can look at gallbladder. And just you don't have any symptoms of it, obviously, I'm assuming. But
I
just
do. Yeah, I do like right knee hurts, left side of the body. Like that's the worst eye. Trying to think gallbladder emotions. What else?
okay, well, we
Yeah,
can work on that. And but how would you rate those issues and your gallbladder type issues?
like maybe a 4.
Okay. Okay. Well, I keep writing on the participant search. Sorry. We're at it.
Okay.
We're at. Okay, so I'm not gonna highlight any of these. We could painful joints. Let's just I'll just put one of those in. But this is just for anyone's own records. This also does not affect the scan in any way. This is just so if you wanted to go back at any time, and I could put the date in here, which I can't believe it's August 31st already. And then the next time you work or have a session, you could put the date and write what their ailments are or what you're working on. So I'm just going to select begin. And so now this is the voice part. So I'll count you down in just a minute. I'll say 3, 2, 1, begin. And at that point, if you could just say your full name and repeat the vowels A, E, I, O, U, you'll have to say it several times until this 15-second counter gets to 0.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Uh-huh.
3, 2, 1, begin.
A E I O U. Ruth, Daniela, Pierce, A E I O U.
Okay, so hopefully the sound will come back. I don't know what just happened. I just tested the whole thing and it was working. Let's try the voice harmonics and hopefully this will work. So the voice harmonics is great to play after you've recorded your voice and the analysis has been done. It's so you can hear the translated version of what you recorded into a frequency, and that does work as sort of like a homeopathic for you, like cancels out like, so.
Oh.
Okay, great. And we all heard that, so that makes me happy. So now we just hit next. Oh, wait. Okay, just now I can just hit continue. And I just took a screenshot of you. So now when I click on the avatar here, I can select existing photo. And there you are. And I can just select use up top. And now begin an and continue. And so now it asks if we want to use an energetic affirmation. And I always use this feature. It is optional, but I do use it. And what this does is the genius will translate any affirmation into a frequency, and then it is overlaid when you run other frequencies throughout this session. So if you're working, have a special affirmation that you want for the day or for the week, I just tend to use the one. I can use that one unless you have something specific you would like to use.
No, if you have one, that's fine.
Okay, so the one I use is all energies are transmuted into the frequency of love. And so it is. And so then
Yes.
type it in and hit OK, and then it is working for you throughout this session.
Okay.
So now the next thing I want to do is hit begin analysis, which is down at the bottom. You'll notice here it will be in the order that the genius finds the priority. So for you right now, the genius is saying the body is the area that's the priority to work on, and biofield and mind. Custom libraries is always going to appear at the bottom.
Mhm.
And that banner will be there if you've either created your own libraries or you've purchased libraries, or someone has created and sent them to libraries to you. So after that, after we hit begin analysis, the next thing I always do as my next step is look at the aura, and that's just so you can get a before picture of the aura before you get sidetracked and start doing any clearing. So I'm just gonna select, click on the line for aura. And again, just select begin and okay, so there's a few options on the top left that the genius gives us. One is to hide the avatar. And this I like to select because it allows us to look at those items that were covered by the aura. I mean, by the avatar. And then we can also click switch to old, which is going to give us the aura in Genius 2.1. And actually both auras give you different information, which is why they've given us both options to look at, because you're actually looking at different pieces of information. So in here, you're on both, you're always looking for bright, vibrant colors, sort of like those fluorescent colors. The more light the color has, the better. The darker the color, you're picking up on more of the negative like emotions or meanings of what those colors represent. And if you switch to the also, you want to see the clear colors. So you're not looking, you don't want to see really blurry or muddy. Those can indicate stagnant energy or maybe negative energy or interference of some form in your field. And if we switch to the old, again, this gives us different information. The one thing, especially when you're starting off, the biggest thing that I would tell you to look for is that you want to see all four corners of the aura screen to be filled with color. That means you're grounded and in your body. So if they're not, as in the case, you would want to work with some grounding frequencies. Grounding is in the spiritual protection. You can also work with other libraries that can help with that. And also just going outside, walking barefoot, hugging a tree if you're near a lake or an ocean, all those things. Waterfalls, if you're lucky enough to be near a waterfall, is all great things to help ground you. So I would definitely recommend that for you. I'm not going to go into any detail with some of these other items, but on both auras, Ideally, you would want to see one color as best as possible. On the first one that looks like an egg, even if it were one color, you would still see like different layers of it, but you would be able to see the delineation between each layer. But predominantly ideal would be one color, but we don't really see that often. Hopefully we can work with clearing this kind of like gray color in there for you today. Sometimes that just working with the spiritual protection can help a lot with that. And sometimes as you clear it, you kind of see that those shadings move out into other layers. So we'll see what we can do with that in one session. So the next thing I just wanted to point out for the Genius is it works on a numerical value system. It ranges from 0 to 777. From 0 to 200 is represented by the color blue. And items in this range are observed to be chronic energetic disturbances. So those items would have been out of balance for a longer period of time. They can also be considered under energy. Maybe they're not getting enough energy for some reason, or it's also stagnant energy. The energy just isn't moving.
Okay.
The next range would be from 201 to 450, and that is represented by the color green. And then we go to 451 to 599, and that is represented by the color yellow. And then lastly, the top range is between 600 and 777, and that is observed to be acute energetic disturbances. So it's a current stress that's happening now. You haven't had it for a long period of time. It's in the present, and a lot of times you can be in other people's energy field or have them in yours. So some things may be showing up and not specifically belong to you, but if it's not cleared and it doesn't pass through, it could end up staying with you. And then you'll start, attracting things of that similar frequency or energy to you. So it is important to use the Genius not only to help you with specific ailments, but also for daily maintenance and energy hygiene, basically.
And also, Denise, I have an identical twin sister, and oddly, we're not very close, but I get her stuff. Like
yeah,
if she's sick or what, or like she has an ailment, I'll get that. But I also get energetically, when I have any problem, like emotionally or whatever, if I go into it, I'm like, oh, it's hers. And if I clear it, I'm fine. But it happens a lot.
right. So you may see that often. I mean, things that show up on red, you may say like, that's not me at all today, especially if you're looking at emotions, but they could be hers, but that could be anybody. I mean, if you're in close proximity, whether you're at a crowded restaurant, bars, bus, public transportation, malls, concerts, you could always pick up energies from other people's fields. So
definitely,
you just want to be aware of that. So the red also, it can be referred to as over energy, like too much energy, or heat or inflammation. So just to keep those in mind, you may hear me or someone else use that terminology when working with the Genius. It's also important to note that the Genius is not diagnostic in the allopathic sense. So just because things are out of balance does not mean if a doctor does a blood test or does any other type of testing, that is it's not a diagnosis for any specific issue or diagnosis. It's really just telling you that there's an energetic disturbance. So doctors will be testing for physical disturbances. Now, can there be overlap? If you have an energetic disturbances, can you have symptoms? Yes, you definitely can, but obviously the treatment is much different.
Okay. Yeah, digestion does come up a lot, so that's probably fair.
Anyway, so with all that, then the next thing just to point out is these little arrows or chevrons just to the left of each word is just telling you that there's information a level deeper. So you can either click on that and it will tell you the different areas in digestion that's covered. And, you know, and the numerical value. And it also allows you to click on these little like magnifying glasses, which gives you a little description of, you know, what the gallbladder does. So it just gives you a little added information. You can close that and then click on the line. Again, it's the same information. It's just presented in a little easier format for people because you can actually see the color coding of it. So it just makes it a little easier to work with looking at it this way. And so now the next thing I would do in a session would be to what we call prime the body. So we want to make sure that your you know, your vitamins, your minerals, amino acids, and everything in the biofield is kind of, that's like your foundation. So you want to make sure that those are balanced as best as possible so that when you run other frequencies, your body has a better ability to take them in and be more effective. So I have a library that will work with that. So I'm just going to click on my custom libraries.
But Denise, if you don't have the library, you run, is there something specific I run?
Yes, if you don't have the libraries, then add all the items from the biofield. You may want to add in the spinal energy, minerals, vitamins, and amino acids.
Okay, and all the everything in the biofield? Not the bio.
Yes, all the libraries in the biofield. Yep.
Okay, and then add it to the libraries that I have in general, or no?
No, let me just go back. Hold on. So if you don't have the BioTrain priming vessels library, which
Right.
you would have if you bought the BioTrain package or if you just purchased that library bundle separately. If you don't, I would add everything from the biofield. So you can drag and drop your spiritual protection, Nogier, aura, chakra, sacred geometry, Savegiotones, meridians.
And do you have to open them up, Denise, and drop each one in, or can you just drop the whole thing?
You can just drop it like that, and you could see 13 items went in. The 13th is really the name of the actual library itself. There are 12 items when you open it up. So if you ever counted and were like, oh, why am I not getting the right amount? That's why. And then I would go to minerals, add them in, amino acids added in, vitamins added in, and I would go to spinal energy and add that in as well. And then you can run, it'll be 100 and some odd items.
Got it.
The library that I used has about 156, so I've added a few other things to it. Yes, and Claire's saying, or you can make a custom playlist with all those items so you don't have to drag and drop it all the time. That's a really good suggestion. The reason I haven't done that is because I have the library for it. So I'm just going to go right now to type in bioterrain, and the vessel priming frequencies comes right up. Now, again, I can just drag that right in. You can see the 157 items. And I'll just run begin analysis.
So you just took the top one, Denise, and ran analysis on it? Is that what happened?
I took the name of the library title. So the Bio Train has about 37 panels in it. One of them being priming vessels. So that's the name of the panel or the library. If I clicked on it, you would have seen all these items. I just did a shortcut. I could have gone out and clicked on this line. Now it's beach bowling.
So I can buy the bioterrain libraries is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then do that. Then you don't have to do the other.
Right. And you know, the Biotrain all works with your gut. So it's dealing with pathogens, mold, all that stuff. And I added a little notes here like Biotrain, you want to begin with this one, and these two you want to finish with, just because it's just adding all the probiotics back into your gut, the frequency of them, and just a few items in this one to help restore homeostasis. But so anyway, you can either select on the panel priming, and then you could see all the individual items that are in there and which ones are red, yellow, green, and blue. I add them all in this particular case because they're all really important. And when you get to the main hold tray, the Genius then uses algorithms and it looks at the relationship from all of the items. So some of the yellows or greens might end up needing more attention than they would have shown in that other library. So that's why I've added all of them in. And I'm just going to select all, and we can run them for 1 minute.
Just run for 1 minute always.
1 minute, because more isn't always better. Even sometimes 30 seconds can be really effective in balancing these frequencies. But there are a lot here. There are 157, and I always do the 1 minute to start. Some are going to clear, and then it lets the ones that haven't are more difficult to balance sort of rise to the surface, and then we can work with the highs and the lows a little bit. And depending on what the percent rectification is, if it's really low, I might run them all again. Sometimes it's a little intuition thing on how, on just what I feel like I'm guided to do on that. There's no set protocol on that. That's kind of like an intuitive thing. Do like to see 40% and higher. Now here you're 33%. But the other thing I also look for is that the harmony, alignment, and energy flow is within 20%. I don't really like to see it go further than that, because I just, from what I've observed, it can, it's going to be harder to stay in balance. Like something could trigger you and it could go out of balance. Like if you're not in harmony, alignment, kind of close together, if there's a big disparity between those two, something might throw that back off again. So I might then run all of these again to get that closer.
Okay.
You're pretty much within that range. So for me right now doing this, I would deselect all of them, and I would probably just work with the lows. And again, there are two trains of thought in the progressive insights. One, the first train of thought is that it lists high, medium, lows by priority. So you would want to work with the reds, which would be your priority first. The other train of thought, and this is coming from people who have been working with the Genius since its conception, 10, 11 years, is that the highs and the lows are sort of like the highs and the lows on the first screen. So you would want to work with both of them. Either one is fine. I just recommend that you hold the intention of how you want the Genius to work, because it's all working with the quantum field and quantum physics rather, and you have all that entanglement and different energies. So if you're just intention is just really important. So I'm working with the intention of the highs and the lows. So that's why I selected the lows for you. And we'll just run those for 30 seconds. So in order to get a time amount less than 1 minute, you need to put it on 0, and then you can manually stop it when you get to 30 seconds or whenever you want to stop it. Also, putting it on 0 minutes allows you to run the frequencies for more than 30 minutes. So you run the frequencies for up to like 8 hours, which is about 500 minutes. It's not something that I would always do. I have run it overnight for a long period of times. Usually when it's like a fresh like injury or wound, I would run it longer, but not always for if it's more chronic issues. For parasites or things like that, parasites have like a 17-minute kill time. So I would run it for like 17 minutes, at least 17 minutes, or multiples of 17, however long you want to run it for. So
And
anyway.
it's safe to do that, Denise?
Yes.
Yeah. Like you can't
obviously there are going to be some people who are very sensitive to frequencies. I have a couple of friends who are very sensitive. So you kind of have to know your client. And I would always start off slow because you may not know if they're sensitive, but I have some friends who even a couple of seconds, like they can't handle more than that. But I would say that that's the minority, not the majority of people. But
okay.
If you notice grounding, which we said you were very not grounded at all, is showing up in flows here. So I just wanted to, demonstrate that that is something that.
Oh, right. It's listed ground.
Yeah. Okay, so we ran that, I think, a little bit over 30 seconds, but you can see you had a great rectification here, 41%. And the harmony, alignment, and flow is slightly over 10%, around your 15%. So that's great. The next thing I would do then is deselect the lows and select the highs. And again, we can run that for 30 seconds. So Tammy's asking if there is a chart to show how frequencies. There really isn't, Tammy. Parasites one essentially really died by for that 17-minute cycle to kill them. Other than that, it's really kind of intuition and see how things are working. And go by your percent rectification. So I hope that helps.
Denise,
So you had a 32% rectification, and again, harmony, alignment, and energy flow are pretty tight in there. This is a demo, so I'm not going to run it until we get to 40%, but you get the idea. The other thing that you can always do, since we now ran all the frequencies here, and we also worked on the highs and the lows, you could go up to the top right and hit. You wanted to tweak a little bit more and try to work on getting a higher percent rectification, you could do that. You could just see, just out of curiosity, where grounding is showing up, just because that was we looked at. Whoops. And if somebody sees it, just stop me. I'm trying to. Well, it's in the high now. So it is making that sort of natural progression, right? Because it would go from, I know it shows up on here low as green, but if it were blue, you're going to go from like a blue to a red, because you're going to go from chronic to maybe a stress to then someplace out. So it is making sense how it's showing up. You could work on that again and work on now your highs or your lows, or
And then you're trying to work on getting most of them medium, or no?
I mean, in a perfect world, you have 157 items here. It's like, that would be really difficult to do. It's easier to do it if you have a few items. I have sometimes, if I've just had 5 items, gotten all yellows before, but it's going to take you much longer to work that way. You're getting a high % rectification. I would be happy with that. This is all probabilities. So even the ones that are showing up, it's a probability of that one. It doesn't mean that that's definitively the ones that have now balanced and haven't. So I wouldn't be as concerned with that. I would be more concerned with what your % rectification is.
Got it.
So we're going to go back now to the main start page. And if I go to the bottom where it says the main hold tray, I'm just going to click on the, I don't know why I'm getting a beach ball. If you click on this little arrow, I can now, it gives you the ability to clear the main hold tray. So I'm just going to click on the clear all. And now the second thing I would do, if you're working with a protocol, I don't always necessarily, I always do these first 2 steps. I don't usually always work with a protocol after that. I kind of just go with what I'm seeing from the Genius. But the second thing I would do is when you click on system overview, it brings you to general overview. And so what the Genius does here, it takes everything from the system overview page out of its categories. And so they're just line items, and it puts them all chronologically. And it's also adding all the line items from all my custom libraries and putting them in chronologically. So I have a lot of libraries. I probably have close to 100,000 line items in here. So we're not going to scroll through because it would take some time. Also, you're going to see a lot of items with 777. Don't be concerned or alarmed if you have 100,000 items and only 777 parking spots for them to go into. You're going to have a lot. It has to all file it in there someplace. So, and remember, people also get alarmed by seeing the color red. The red is stress in the moment. So don't let the color throw you off, or, think that you have like a lot of stuff going on. So the first thing I would do here, since I can't add all the reds, there would be too many. If you click on the plus button, that's either here for the main hold tray or up at the top for the quick zap, it allows me to add the top 50.
Oh.
And again, I can add the top, the bottom 50. Now, again, you have to know like how many items you're working with. Always experiment. If you don't have that many libraries, you may want to do all the red. Just for me, it would be like 5,000, and I don't want to overstimulate the body in any way by giving too many frequencies. You can hit this 0 to 100, and it'll give you the reciprocal view. So now you can see easily what are the ones that have been more chronically off for you. So you're seeing acid, you're seeing oxalates, which is blueberries, some random different items in here.
Does that mean too much or too little?
It means out of balance.
Oh, out of balance with blueberries?
So, it's not going to, it won't give you that. It doesn't give you that information. It's just whether it's in or out of balance. It's blue, so it's been out of balance for a longer period of time. So
would that represent like an allergy though? Like, would that be like, hey, I should be a little more careful around blueberries, or no? It's not really telling us that.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily telling us that from this library. If, again, the intention that's put in, if you were looking at a library that's specifically geared towards food sensitivities or
Okay.
allergies, I would interpret it closer to having that meaning, but that's not the case. Sometimes some of these libraries are set up as assessments. So I would just run the frequencies. Don't try to overanalyze on everything on specifically what it might mean.
Got
So
it.
this is looking at it as an oxalate. So you might need, you just need to balance that energy so you can effectively get from the blueberries what you need.
Got it.
So we have added all those. The next thing I like to do here is if you have custom libraries, you can remove them. And now I can just work with the items from the main system overview page. So I can still add my top 50 and my bottom 50. So now I have 200 items again in the tray. You don't have to work with so many. I'm just trying to work with that set, and I try to keep it around 200 items. I try not to go over. Do I? Yeah, sometimes it ends up 240, 250, but I try not to. So now we can go back to the progressive insights by hitting that play button and run. And I'm going to move the timer to 1 minute and select all. And here's grounding again, showing up for you.
Wow.
I'm gonna hit play. Yeah, you were really active. Did you feel today? Like,
Oh, it's sorry, it's hard to hear you when that runs, when that chimes run. Can you hear me, Denise?
I could hear you. I'm sorry, a call just came through, so that's why it may have been out.
Oh no, it's just it's hard. I think it's hard for everyone to hear when the chime is going. I saw that a couple times on the road, but right, I live 2 blocks from the ocean, but it's I've been really sensitive to mold lately, and oddly, it's I'm in San Diego. It's kind of oddly cold here, and has been like cool, and we're not getting that much sun. And when I go to the ocean and I put my feet in, I notice I suffer with mold pathogens and
Okay, well, that's something we can look at quickly. I hit stop by accident, so I'm just gonna run this for another 30 seconds. Because if you have the timer on 1 minute and click on it, calculate the notification. Okay, so we ran it for an additional 30 seconds. You had a 54% rectification and very tight in here between 51 and 58, so a 7% range. So that's awesome. So I'm sorry if I've been talking while the chimes have been going and you didn't hear me. Well, I will try to stay quiet while they're running. So that was great for all of them on high. It's already 2:45. So since this is a demo, I do want to get to some of the other things to help clear up some of those issues. So I'm not going to work with the lows and the highs here, but you did have a good overall 54% and it's very tight in here. So I'm going to go back to the main hold tray now and we can clear these. And now we can focus on your specific issues that we looked at, and that was your vision and also the painful joints and muscles when you wake up. So the first thing I do want to look at for you is just look at what today's stress was. And we can see nutritional, blood sugar, heavy metal toxicity, environmental. Those are all red, so they're stressed in the moment. Nutritional could be maybe you haven't eaten in a while today, or maybe you didn't eat such great food if you did eat today, and that's why it's showing up. The same thing with blood sugar. If we look at the bottom here, acid is showing up. Connective tissue, which is similar what we were talking about with the fascia. So, you know, that's making sense with when you're testing with, you know, emotion code and body code, you're both picking up the same frequency. So you're doing a good job. Inflammation, I'm sure, has to do with part of that. So I would add all of these blue and red items just to work on it. I'm not going to add in any of the yellow or the greens right now. And the other thing I would add, which I always think is really important to add, is digestion and all the segments of it. I'm just going to drag the whole line in, which will add all of those just for speed. Do remember that we have worked with a lot of the items that have shown up on this page with between the first priming frequencies that we ran and then working in the general overview. So I don't really feel like we're overlooking anything here because we've worked with a lot of them. I do want to click spiritual protection because here's that grounding piece that's showing up. And it might just be an issue for today, and that's what it's suggesting, that it's as high, but we are going to add it in there. And we can add in your auric protection. The other ones we have worked with, we'll come back to this to see if we still need it. And now we can just go to the custom libraries, and I can work with human body structure, and we can work with, we do have fascia in here.
Is this from your library, Denise?
I have created the human body structures. So there's like 56 panels. So you can email me if you're interested in those.
Cool.
I will be adding it, but I haven't quite finished it yet, which is why it isn't on the website.
Oh, you mean to buy in the libraries?
Yeah, if you're interested.
Yeah.
So this is not, oh, wait a second, sorry. I didn't mean to go there. Okay, so we've added those fascia lines. Let's also add in your joints.
And I was just going to say, Denise, too, that's funny. After you just finished that last one, I'm like, wow, that achiness went away.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's amazing. In my body. And then, so now, and then as we're just sitting here and then not running it, it's like, I feel it coming back a little bit, but that's interesting because I was like, whoa, if you see me moving around, I'm like, oh, it went away a lot. And now I'm getting a little bit.
We can do something to really knock that out. It may have just, you know, so let's see what we can do here to work with it. I'm just going to kind of go to the muscle database so that we could work with mostly all of them. So I'm going to add the reds and just the blues here. And we can go to, I don't know why this is doing this. I might have too many things open on my laptop.
Right.
Let's go to the nerves, which is showing up as blue. And we'll add the reds and the blues here for you as well. And the eyes. I'm just going to add, whoops, all of these. And it's also corresponding to the nerve here, which is so.
Oh, cool.
We're at 262. So let's just, oh, come on. it doesn't, you can work with it in so many different ways. It's just whatever I'm comfortable working with. Creature of habit, sometimes will select the 1 minute and select all, and then I kind of tweak it from there, but I'm going to select all now. There, so that's great. Now, paint, did anything shift as that was running again, or just curious?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. It was like, it really was like gone, and then it came back a tiny, like at a 2 maybe.
Okay, so let's just go from here for a minute to, I want to run pain frequencies for you, and then I want to go back and see how your grounding is, because that can really kind of show you, well, oops. Oh, come on. And here I'm going to, let's just add it to the quick balance, the reds, the blues, and the greens. And since we're sort of running out of time, let's just, I'm going to put in some of those grounding. Come on. And so this library has a bunch of different like crystals that are good for grounding. So I've added all of those in. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. Now the quick zap, it's running all the frequencies for all these items like it does in the main whole tray. The only difference is it doesn't use algorithms to look at the relationship between all the items. So you are getting all the same frequencies. You're just not getting quite as much information. And here is the amount of time that shows for the quick zap. I just ran it. There's a good rectification here as well. Hopefully that means you're feeling a little better. I'm just going to look at your aura to see what we're looking at right now. We can just case B. And we can look at this one. Okay, so Now, the yellow in there is, yellow is a little bit of a controlling color, but this is the green that we like to see. It's close to your physical body, so that's healing coming in, and that's great. The red, not such a great color, and you can see that there's this blurriness. So there's still some stagnant energy, or probably some, I'd work maybe a little longer with the spiritual protection, but you are grounded now. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
see that all four corners are filled with color, and that's great. A lot of those programming lines have disappeared. So that is good too. So I'm really happy with the change on those auras for you. How are you feeling? We didn't really get to work too much on your eyes. But hopefully your pain has subsided, and who knows, maybe, I don't know if you notice any change in the blurriness in your eyes or not.
Yeah, the blur, it's okay. It's around the same, but the stiffness to my body is like pretty much gone. So that's awesome.
Awesome. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Very
Good.
good.
So I'm glad. So sorry for my phone in the background there. So
Oh,
anyway, I'm really happy. Not that we're getting a phone call, but
you're so good. Everyone wants you. They're calling.
I know I never use my landline, and it always fails. I think I have it turned off and it always comes in. But anyway, I'm really glad on how that went. I hope you maybe learned some new things that you weren't aware of before. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at Denise at Inside Health Apps.
Okay.
I put it down in the chat in here. And if anybody has any questions, they can get it from there. Hopefully I've answered everybody's. Oh, I see Tammy has a question. So quick zap isn't full frequencies. Can you repeat your last statement about it is full frequencies? It's running the exact same frequencies in quick zap as it does in the main hold tray or even the quick balance. The only difference between the quick zap and the main hold tray, which then goes to Progressive Insights, is that it's giving you the information of high, medium, and lows. So it's showing you it's looking at those items, the relationship between the items. So it's just giving you a little bit more information on which ones maybe you want to focus on. That's the difference. I tend to usually only work in the Progressive Insight most of the time. I mean, I will use the quick zap or the quick balance if I want to work on some frequencies quickly. But if I don't want to empty everything that I have out of the main hold tray, then I'll kind of use either the quick zap or the quick balance for just working with, a panel quickly. Does that make sense, Tammy? If you're still here, I don't know if oh, okay. She said thanks. So, okay, great. So anyway, if anybody has any questions, you could always email me. If not, I will see you next Thursday for our live, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time, and 7
p.m. UK
time. And anybody in between, you're going to have to use your phone app to figure it out. But that's basically it. And thank you, Ruth. It was a pleasure working with you today.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Welcome. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, let me stop the recording. Oh, shoot. I never recorded it. Ruh-roh. Sorry, guys.
Geek.
Oh, that stinks. Oh, well.
It's recording now. Is that because you've just switched it on?
Did I just? No, I think it's paused. It says pause recording. Oh, I don't know. Oh, maybe I did do it. Oh, okay. Whew.